Welcome to the course on web development with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Throughout this course, you will learn how to create amazing websites from scratch. Whether you are new to coding or looking to enhance your skills, you're in the right place, basically. To get started, let's do a quick icebreaker. Head over to the discussion board of this course and find the thread titled Module 2. There you will find two of my posts. One is introduce yourself. Another one is basically about imagination for your website inspirations. To get started, go to the module discussion board, find module 2. In there, introduce yourself with your name and share whether you have done any coding before. If you have done coding, let us know which languages you have used. For example, Python, Java, C, C++, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, anything, any language. If you're new to coding, that's great too. Just say none and feel free to add why you are excited to learn web development. In this course, we will start by understanding the basic building blocks of web development. First, we will dive into HTML, which is like a skeleton of a web page. Next, we will learn about CSS, which make things look pretty. It's like the skin and clothes for our web pages. Finally, we will explore JavaScript, which adds the magic that makes things interactive, like the muscles that make everything moves in our body. By the end of this course, you will be equipped to create your own interactive and stylish websites. We will make it step by step, so don't worry if this sounds like a lot of things right now. So web development is incredibly empowering. Imagine being able to create a website that reaches millions of people. That's the kind of power you will gain from mastering HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Let's kickstart, head over to the discussion board, introduce yourself in the first discussion in module 2, and then there is another thread titled Website Inspirations. Reply to that post where share your favorite websites or app and tell us why you like it. It can be anything. For example, for me, right now, my favorite website is for watching movies. It can be Netflix or YouTube. So these are two of my favorite pastime websites. Another, if we're talking about learning, I love Coursera. This is another website where I love learning new things. So just tell us what is your favorite website. It can be anything. And tell us why you like it. Is it the design, the functionality, or something else? Let's inspire each other. You can also see what others posted or what others said, and others can also see your post over there. So that's in that way, this class can be a little bit more interactive, so we can know each other. So begin posting your introduction and icebreaker response in the introduction and icebreaker thread. Then check out the website inspiration thread to see what others have shared and contribute your own favorite. Once you have completed those activities, proceed to the next part of this video where we will start learning about HTML. So this is basically from the Zybook chapter 1.5, Introduction to HTML. We will just go over some basic concepts of HTML. In next lectures, we will go deep into how to build this or what more hands-on on HTML. So now that you have gotten a sense of what this course will cover, let's dive a bit deeper into the core technologies that make web development possible. That is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Think of these three as the holy trinity of web development. Each one is essential for creating a complete web page. So to understand how these technologies work together, let's use a simple analogy. Imagine a human being. So HTML is like the skeleton. It provides the structure and form, just like your bones give your body shape. HTML outlines the basic layout and content of a web page. This is basically the skeleton of the web page. Then there is CSS. CSS is like the skin and clothing. It defines what you look like. Just as your eyes color, hairstyle, and clothes define your appearances, CSS styles the HTML to make the web page look attractive and organized. And then finally, the JavaScript. Um, imagine your body where you have your bones, you have your skin, hairs, clothings, but imagine there's no muscle. So can you move? It would be hard to distinguish you from a toy or dummy body that displays the clothes in a shopping mall, apart from you, because they have all those things. They have the structure, they have those clothes, skin colors, hairstyles. But what is missing? What you have and they don't have? That is, you are a human being. You move. You have muscles. You can do whatever you want with your movements, with your muscles. That part for website, it's called JavaScript. So JavaScript is like the muscles and actions. It enables movement and interaction. Think how brushing your teeth or dancing requires muscle movement. JavaScript brings dynamic behaviors and interactions to life on a web page. So without JavaScript, you would still you can still have a web page, but that would be just as that doll, um, all clothed in the shopping mall that doesn't do any movement. The only thing that it shows is the style or the color or the shirt that is trying to sell. That's it, nothing else. So we will still have that kind of website. But if your website needs to be more dynamic, if your website needs to be more lifelike, then you need JavaScript. So what is HTML? HTML is the HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, is the backbone of any web page. It is textual language used for creating web pages, defining the structure and content of the web. Think of HTML as the blueprint of a house. It defines where the walls are, where the rooms are located, and overall structure. HTML files are usually saved with a .html or .htm file extension, such as index.html. This extension tells the web browser that this is the file and this is an HTML document. Typically, the first page of any website is named index.html. It's like the main entrance to a house. Every HTML document follows a specific structure, much like how every house has a foundation, walls, and roof. Here's a quick look at the part of an HTML file. The document starts with a doc type declaration, which tells the browser that type of document to expect, and think of it as the blueprint's cover page. Uh, then comes the head section, which includes the page title and other metadata. This is like the attic of a roof of a house, storing information about the house, but not visible to people outside or inside. Finally, there's the body section, where the actual content of the web page lives, like the rooms in a house where people spend most of their time. In HTML, everything you see on a web page is structured using elements. An element is essentially a building block of HTML representing a part of the web page. These elements are defined using HTML tags. Think of tags as containers or wrappers around content. They tell the browser how to display the content. For instance, the p tag tells the browser to display the content as a paragraph. And tags come in pairs with an opening tag and a closing tag. The opening tag signals the start of an element, while the closing tag signals the end. The content between these tags is affected by them. For example, the strong tag. So there's a strong, then there's in middle always, and there's the closing tag of strong. Will make the word always bold. The strong is an opening tag, and the hyphenated slashed strong is the closing tag. Notice the closing tag has a forward slash. This is how browser knows where the element ends. Not all tags need a closing pair. Some tags are self-closing, meaning they don't wrap around content but still define an element. A common example is the image tag or IMG tag, used to display images. It doesn't need to wrap around anything since it's self-contained. Self-closing tags are like single-use items. They do the job without needing a partner. HTML elements are the building blocks of a web page. By using different elements, we can create structured, readable, and interactive content. Let's go over some of the most common HTML elements that you will be using frequently when creating web pages. There are heading tags. This refers to from H1 to H6. These tags define the headings, which help to structure the content. H1 is the most important heading, typically the main title, while H6 is the least important. Think of them as a hierarchy, with H1 as the chapter title and H6 as the subsections. Then there's paragraph tags. The tag defines a block of text, usually paragraphs, to separate your text into manageable sections. Then emphasis tag or EM. This tag is used to emphasize text, typically rendering it in italics. It helps to highlight important words or phrases. Strong tag, similar to emphasis tag, but used for often stronger emphasis, typically rendering the text in bold. Then there's image tag. This tag is used for embedding images in the web page. Image makes content more engaging and visually appealing. Remember, the image is a self-closing tag, meaning it doesn't need to be closed. There doesn't need to be a closing tag for image. You use it with an src attribute to specify the image source. Src basically is a short form for saying source. There's anchor tag, or A. A is the anchor tags. The tag is used to create hyperlinks, which allows users to navigate to other web pages or sites. Hyperlinks are a core component of the web's interconnected nature. Let's take a closer look at the complete HTML document example. On the left, we have the HTML code, and on the right, you can see how it appears on a web browser. This example is a simple advertisement for a motorcycle, demonstrating how various HTML elements work together to create a structured, readable content. Let's break down this HTML code. The document begins with the doc type HTML, and that is the very first line, shown almost greenish color. Yeah. So this doc type HTML declaration, which tells the browser that this is an HTML5 document. Inside the HTML tag, we have the head section, which contains metadata about the page, such as the title tag. In this case, the title is for sale 2012 Ducati Street Fighter. Which appears on the browser tab. So next is the body section, contains the contents visible on the page. It includes one, an image tag for displaying an image of the motorcycle. The source attribute points to the image URL, and the alternative attribute provides alternative text, bike photo, which is useful for accessibility and search engine optimization, or SEO. And H1 tag is for the main heading, 2012 Ducati Street Fighter 848, $9,000. This makes it clear that the web page is about what the web page is about. And then there's the P tags for paragraphs or text, provides details about the motorcycle, such as its condition, engine, odometer rating, and color. The strong tag is used to highlight important details within this text. In the previous example, you saw how different HTML elements come together to form a structured web page. Let's zoom in on the text formatting elements to see how they work in details. In this snippet, we are using the paragraph tags P to define text blocks and the strong tag to make certain text stand out, such as important details about the product. Each P tag here defines a separate paragraph. These tags help structure the text, making it easier to read and understand. The strong tag is used to emphasize important information within these paragraphs. It makes the text bold, which can draw the reader's attention to key details like the year, make, model, and engine specifications. For example, starting with P, year, then strong 2012, then strong closing, and then P closing, renders as year 2012 on the web page, highlighting the year to make it stand out. The image tag is one of the most commonly used element in HTML, allowing us to display image on the web page. In this example, the image tag is used to show a picture of the Ducati Street Fighter motorcycle. The source attribute specifies the path to the image file, while the alt attribute provides alternative text, which is important for accessibility and for situations where the image cannot be displayed. So the H1 tag is used for the main heading of the page, which typically serves as the title or the most prominent text on the web page. In this case, it's used to display 2012 Ducati Street Fighter 848 hyphen $ 9000 as the main heading, making it immediately clear what the page is about. The H1 tag is the most significant heading. It is crucial for search engine optimization as it helps search engines understand the content of your web page. Hyperlinks are a fundamental part of the web page, allowing users to navigate between different pages or sites. The A tag is used to create these links in HTML. For example, you see two types of hyperlinks, linked text and a full URL. The structure A, um, also known as the anchor tag, requires the H reference or href attribute, which stands for hypertext reference. This attribute specifies the destination URL the link points to. For example, href https www.epicurious.com so creates the link that when clicked takes the user to Epicurious website. The text between the opening A tag and the closing A tag is clickable part of the link. It could be the full URL as seen in the first link or a descriptive text as shown in the link Dear Photograph. Notice how the links are styled differently from regular text. They are blue and underlined, which is standard convention to indicate clickable links. This is controlled by default browser styles, but you can customize the link appearance using CSS, which we will cover in the next lecture or next slide. So here it is, chapter 1.6 from the Zybook Introduction to CSS. CSS, also known as cascading style sheets, is the language used to describe the look and formatting of the document written in HTML. While HTML provides the structure and content of a web page, CSS is all about presenting and layout. Think of CSS as the paint and decorations of a house. It's what makes your content look attractive and visually appealing. Understand the style tag. So the style tag is used to embed CSS styles directly with an HTML document. Inside this tag, you can define the style that will apply to various HTML elements on your page. In this example, we have styles for H1, P, and strong elements, each with different properties set. H1, color green, background color, light gray. This sets the text color of H1 elements to green and gives them a light gray background color. It makes headings stand out and easy to read. P, font family Arial, margin left 10 px or 10 pixel. This changes the font of the paragraph to the Arial and adds a left margin of 10 pixels, which helps to separate the text from the edge of the container. Strong background color, light green, padding 5px. This gives emphasized text strong, a light green background, and adds padding around the text, making it more prominent. CSS are selectors. CSS selectors are patterns used to select the elements you want to style. They are fundamental part of CSS, allowing you to target specific HTML elements and apply styles to them. Think of selectors as instructors to tell the browser, hey, find these elements and on the page and apply these styles to them. Without selectors, CSS wouldn't know which element to style. Type selectors are among the most common and straightforward selectors. They target elements by their type or tag name. For example, using a type selector P, color blue, would apply the blue color to all paragraph elements on the web page. It's a quick way to style all elements of a specific type. Type selectors are great when you want to apply the same style to multiple elements that share the same tag. And there is universal selector, is represented by an asterisk. It selects all elements in a web page. For example, asterisk margin 0, padding 0 would remove the margin and padding from every element on the page. While not as commonly used as type selectors, the universal selectors can be handy when you need to apply a global style to reset styles for all elements. However, use it cautiously because it can have a broad impact. As we have mentioned before, the type selectors allow you to style all instances of a specific HTML element. This is very useful when you want to apply the same styling rules across multiple elements of the same type without having to specify each one individually. For example, if you have multiple horizontal rules, HR, on a web page and you want to take them all to look the same, you can use a type selector to achieve this easily. Style HR elements, which creates a horizontal line across a page. By default, this line spans the entire width of the closing container, often the body of the web page. Usually, type selector, you can customize how this looks like. This line looks, for instance, H1 with 50%. This CSS rule applies all HR elements on the page and sets their width to 50% of their enclosing container. In most cases, the container will be the body of the web page, meaning the horizontal line will span half the width of the page. The type selector make it easy to apply consistent style across all elements of a specific type, which helps margin or maintain a uniform look and feel on your web page. Imagine a web page with several selections separated by horizontal lines. Using the type selector HR with 50%, all these lines will be centered and occupy only half of the width of the page, giving a neat and tidy appearance. This approach is much more efficient than styling each HR individually, especially if you decide to change the width later. With the type selector, you only need to change it in one place. Otherwise, you had to go and select HR for each of them and apply those changes individually. The universal selector is represented by an asterisk. It's called universal selector because it can match every element on a web page, making it a powerful tool when you need to apply style broadly. Think of the universal selector as the wildcard that says, apply these styles to everything. It's useful when you want to set a default style for all elements or make global changes. The syntax for universal selector is similar to that of type selector, but instead of specifying a specific element type, use asterisk, for example, asterisk text align center. This CSS rule tells the browser to center align the text for every text-oriented element on the web page. Although the selector matches every element, the text align property only affects elements that contain text, such as paragraphs, headings, and list items. Consider a web page that various text elements such as H1P, li stands for list basically, and more. By applying the universal selector, text align, asterisk text align center, all these elements will have their text centered. This is a quick way to ensure that all text elements follow the same alignment without having to specify each type individually. There are some pros and cons of using the universal selector. The universal selector is very powerful, but if it could be used cautiously, because it affects every element, it can have unintended consequences, especially in larger projects where more specific styling is needed. It's great for quick, broad changes or resetting default styles, but when you need more control, using more specific selectors like type, class, or ID selectors is often a better choice. How to do this type, class, or ID selectors, we will look into this in our next classes. This example demonstrates how various CSS selectors can be used in a style different elements on a web page. Here we see a combination of universal selector, a type selector, and a type selector targeting multiple elements. These selectors help us control the appearance of different parts of the web page efficiently. Universal selector is used with asterisk text align center. This centers the text for all elements that can contain text, making the entire web page look neat and uniform. The type selector HR with 50% targets all HR elements, setting their width to 50%. This reduces the length of horizontal lines, making them less dominant and more visually appealing. Using a comma separated list H2P, font style italic, and the color blue, this selector applies the same style to both HTML and PED elements. It makes the text italic and blue, providing a consistent style for both headings and paragraphs. CSS rules consist of properties and values. In this example, text align is a property and center is its value. It controls the element of text. Font style and color are properties with italic and blue as their respective values, controlling the font style and text color. These properties and values give you the power to customize the appearance of your web page in various ways. A CSS rule is a set of instructions that tell the browser how to style specific HTML element. Understanding the correct syntax for writing CSS rule is essential for effective styling. The basic CSS rule consists of selector followed by an declaration block. The declaration block is enclosed in curly braces and contains one or more property value pairs. Sometimes you may want to apply the same style to multiple elements. In such cases, you can use multiple selectors separated by commas. For example, H1, H2, P. So you have comma between them, H1, H2, and P. And then color red. In this rule, the color red style will be applied to all H1, H2, and P elements using multiple selectors to help you avoid repetitive code and ensure consistency. Remember to use the comma and space between each selector. This tells the browser that each listed selector should receive the same styling. Each property value pairs specifies a particular style to apply to the selected element. For example, color blue. Color is the property and blue is the value. Together, they define the text color should be blue. Separate each property and its value with a colon. End each property value pair with a semicolon. This semicolon tells the browser that the current declaration is complete and another one may follow. When writing CSS rule, keep these best practices in mind. Use a clear and descriptive selectors to target the right elements. Ensure correct punctuation, including spaces, colons, and semicolons to avoid syntax error. Group related selectors and styles to keep your CSS organized and readable. This example showcases the basic HTML document used to create a simple advertisement for Ducati Street Fighter motorcycle. Let's break down what each part of the code is doing and how it translates to the rendered web page. So this is basically the same advertisement, but with less amount of things here. This HTML code is without the CSS, and this is how the output should look like. Now, if we add the CSS, the output changes. This example builds on a basic HTML document by adding CSS styles to enhance its visual presentation. Let's explore how these CSS rules applied for the style tag affect appearances and elements. H1 color green, background color light gray. This rule styles the H1 elements, making the text green and giving it a light gray background. This is the result heading that stands out prominently at the top of the page. That is Ducati Street Fighter $9,000. The P font family Arial, margin left 5 and 10 px. This rule changes the font of all paragraph text to Arial and adds a 10 pixel left margin, giving the text a clean and professional appearance and a slight indented from the left. Strong background color, light green, padding 5 px. The strong elements which emphasize important text are given a light green background with a padding around text, making key details like excellent and 9,500 stand out even more. CSS allows you to separate content from the presentation, making it easier to manage and update the look and feel of your web page. With just a few lines of CSS, you can dramatically change the appearance of your content. By applying styles to specific elements such as headings and paragraphs, you can create a consistent and visually appealing design, enhances readability and user experience. So these are some common CSS properties like background color, font family, font size, padding, and margin. And colors are powerful tool to web design as well. So there are standard color names, like CSS includes a list of standard color names that are easy to remember and use, like blue, red, orange, etc. And then there is RGB. Stands for red, green, blue, the primary colors of light. By combining these three colors in different intensity, you can create a virtually any color. RGB values range from 0 to 255, like no intensity to full intensity. The format is RGB, stands is like red, then green, then blue. For example, RGB 50, 100, and 255. In this example, 50 is the intensity of the red, 100 is green, and 255 is blue, resulting in a median light blue color. RGB values offer more flexibility and allowing fine-tuning color choices to match specific design requirements. Here is an example like of the RGB colors. So this is the end of today's class. In next class, we will go into the introduction of JavaScript. So complete your discussions. The discussions are graded. So there are 5 points to complete the discussions. This is part of your class participation. And then you also have the class participations from your Zybook. Complete those class participations as well. For our last week, we had issues with the Zybook access. So I have extended the timeline for submitting your class participations for last week. Complete those as well. Complete this week's class participation as well. I will post the next video in a day or two. Thank you.